Right, a little update on the client build, the Creeper clone. Client picked out a school bus body. It's funny that, they say this Nomad shell is supposedly 10th scale. School bus is 10th scale. But the people inside would not be the same size, would they? You got little people inside the bus, and you got big people inside the Nomad. But anyway, it is what it is, man. It's a fantasy. Alright, so had to make a lot of choices with the school bus. The school bus presented some unique challenges. The first thing that I noticed after getting the axle wideners on was that it would be possible to save the entire front bumper fender thing, almost have a stock wheel well opening, and still have, full range of steering, which worked out. Let me get over here in the light, give you a better view. So I've got about 1/8 of an inch clearance of the bumper, both ways, turned. So that's one way to look at it. That's without any articulation or any gyration into it. As you start to gyrate, if I want to save this front bumper, not trim it, you're going to get limited by where it contacts your linkage. This is the side it contacts the most. It doesn't contact this side near as bad. See, this side it actually contacts the axle right inside the knuckle. Very convenient. Doesn't contact the knuckle, contacts the axle. On this side, it almost gets there, but then it hits the linkage. Okay. I had to do a little jiggery with the linkages to get the clearance I needed, because when this comes down, because of this hood, short of cutting an opening in here and maybe like making something like a hood scoop, which I don't know how to do that. I haven't done that. I haven't cut and formed you think that perhaps you could heat this up and then push it over a form and like form a hood scoop or something on it, which would look badass. And then this horn would not be hitting. That's what really limits your down travel. Besides hitting the linkage here, you hit the horn there at the exact same time. Those two things hit. So short of cutting off the entire front bumper and cutting a hole in here so this baby can come through, and then also you start to hit the corner of the servo box. The actual box itself starts to hit if you were to try and build any more. And so you end up really having to cut a whole lot of stuff out. You'd have to cut out the whole fender, cut out the bumper. Pretty soon you end up with nothing that looks like a bus. So it's like a compromise. It's like, okay, I can still get something like 7.5 inches of articulation in the front and still have full range of steering, which is nuts when you think about it, except where it hits right there. And what I can do, I really like this big slabby curve here, but I could scallop that off. I could make it like that, but then it gets less weird bus shape to it, which I think is what's so charming about this particular shell, is it's just so weird looking on a crawler. And the back, very little trouble with the back because I made gigantic openings like I did on my Nomad. You have to with the rear steer, you really do. You end up with all kinds of places where you may not hit one time, but it may hit another. See, I had to cut away the back bumper, that scallop I was talking about. I had to scallop the back bumper, and you still get some tire rub. But I think the chances of you being in this position for really long periods of time, riding along, is pretty limited. So a little bit of tire rub once in a while, compared to totally losing the shape of the body, that's one place that it rubs in the back. But I mean, how often is it really going to be completely kinked up and your rear steer kicked over? If your rear steer isn't kicked over, you've got tons of I could have made even a smaller well. You know, you're going to get a little bit of body rub if you were steering with the wheels all the way up in the air. You're just going to rub on the whole side of the body, short of cutting all the way up into the windows and cutting all of this out. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to cut all that out for a little bit of tire rub on the outside, whatever. Okay? What I wanted to do is I wanted to get the bottom of the bus approximately like I did with my Nomad. I got it, you know, right about the bottom of the chassis pan. Give you a better idea on the, show you just the steering, you know. A lot of articulation. I mean, you know, even though you are binding here and there on the links on the axle, like right up here, you're binding on the axle. But how much more do you really need to get, is what I'm wondering. Because what you don't have in the back, I mean, what you don't have in the front, you get from the rear. The rear has tons of articulation. When you push it straight down, this will probably be better to show you on the table. When you push it, let's see if I can get over here in the light, what light there is, right? When you push it down all the way, you can see I got good clearance on the back. The back is ridiculous. I'm within I don't know, a quarter inch of dragging the back bumper when that back is all the way down. And then on the front, like I said, what hits is the horn. The horn and the linkage and just everything starts to hit. The little servo button thing sticking out. Everything basically. It all depends on what orientation the back is. If the back is up, it's a little different. But I couldn't move it forward anymore because I would start hitting the tires. Then I'd have to cut out the whole bumper. So it's like I said, it's a lot of compromises. And I just had to choose what I thought my client wanted the most. And he asked me before about the bumpers on mine and was able to save the bumper. And I think he likes bumpers. Don't want to take his bumpers away for no reason, you know. So you lose a little articulation. You do get some body contact right there with the servo horn. Really nothing I can do about it. I mean, short of cutting a lot of crap away. You know what I mean? I don't know how much that's really going to affect the performance of this thing as it cruises around. This is one part where I might be inclined to scallop that. But I kind of like that shape, you know, it's just so crazy looking. I could make the wheel well opening all the way out to here. You know? Thinking about it, I just want to sit on it overnight. I could bring the wheel well opening all the way to here and come up like that. See what I'm saying? Get that wheel well opening, cut it right there, and bring it up like that. But I kind of like that. That's a very bus-like character, that part right there. Full up. Okay, with mine full up, you can see the body height is very similar. Okay, full down, again, body height, very similar. The big difference is here is I have cut almost everything away on mine. I cut all this stuff out. And short of doing the same here, and you're still not going to get total articulation because of this. I don't know. I like the protection it offers, you know. When you crash, when you fall, when you're smashing into things, you're going to be hitting the body instead of your expensive servo, which is good. In the back, you know, like I said, I mean, I could have, you can see I've got this much room, I could have come forward in the back. But then this is pretty much where the wheel well was. The wheel well was there with a little bit of a flare. So then the wheel well would have moved way forward. I would have had to lose all of this. This would have had to have been cut up closer to the tail lights or whatever. and I don't know. So, like I said, lots and lots of compromises with the bus shell. I'm sorry about blocking all the light. Let me get over here where you can see it better. Okay. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I'm not thrilled with it, but I'm pretty happy with it. I also, you know, you can see how I did the body posts on mine, because my chassis is much, much, much lower. I mean, like a lot lower and a lot longer. I had my post attached to my crash cab, removable crash cab. With this, the electronics actually sit below the horns. There's really no need for a crash cab on this, but I may make one anyway. We'll just see how that all goes. But you can see the body post real nice, look real nice, mounted on there. Got, I don't have any rubber washers right now. I'm going to get some rubber washers. And it was real tricky trying to figure out exactly where to mount this and where to drill the holes. And did the best I could with it, that's all I can say. I think it'll be real sturdy when it gets dropped. You know, when it falls. I'm not gonna abuse your shell and everything right now, but I'm just saying, when you take an endo, instead of hitting your servo, now you're gonna roll over on your back. When you're climbing and you get up to this point, your rear bumper is going to keep you from tipping. Your back tires will actually lift off the ground and lose traction before you reach your tipping point. Your body is very square compared to mine. See how it's flexing? You're actually going to sit, you could sit totally back. Let me put you over here to show you what I'm talking about. You could sit completely dead vertical and you still wouldn't tip. You could sit beyond dead vertical and you still wouldn't tip. So that's kind of cool. When you do tip, you're going to go over on your body instead of all your nice chassis and electronics and everything. So the shell is real handy. You can see what I was talking about where it's hitting. It's hitting right there, and it's hitting right there. And short of, see, because this changes. So when I'm turned all the way over here, it's going to hit more than when I'm over here. But at any rate, you can see how that could hang up when you're down, but I don't really see the problem with that. So it hangs up. It's either that or lose the bumper, lose a good portion of the bumper. Because you see where that's hanging up. You'd have to take the bumper all the way out to here, like this, which I could do. But when you have a curve like this, this curve actually makes the whole thing so much stronger. Every time you put a curve in it, every time there's a little crease or a little mold mark, that's what makes it so strong. These little ridges on the top make it strong. You know, and the Lexan itself is way strong. I mean, mine's fallen 10 feet, landed just like that. Boom! It's rolled over so many times, it's just unbelievable, and it's never cracked or broken a shell. So this is not a real roly-poly kind of shell. You're probably unlikely to end up on your side where you can get on your wheels again. I don't know. It could be possible that if you were to spin your wheels enough, had your wheels turned the right direction, you could spin yourself back up. My shell is a lot wider and rounder, and I just roll right over. When I get going like this, it wants to keep going. When you get going like that, it's going to want to stop, I think. But, yeah, very sturdy, you know, nice protection. I could cut more off this back bumper, I guess, you know, I could. But I just followed what was there. And that's how I start with the shell anyway, is I just follow it. And you can see that it has, you could get it slinking along pretty good if you set your shocks up to the lowest upper point instead of the lower point. Drop your ride height 15 millimeters, get you slacked off a little bit, lean your shocks forward a little bit. You could get a seriously low ride height. Kind of looks like a giant Hummer now. Alright, man, I've yapped on long enough about this, but I did want to make this video mainly for my client to have a look at what we got here, and he can decide whether I screwed it up or not. All I know is it's on there, man. It's mounted professional-like, the nice polished aluminum deals, and shiny hardware with torture drive button heads. Doesn't that count for something? Like I said, man, you can be totally back on your heels with this thing. You could be way past your tipping point, and it's still going to want to rock you forward. I don't want to drop it off the table, but I did want to give you a demo of, I mean, you could be way back, like you're about to fall over, and then you're just going to flump back down. So, bus shell on the custom crawl. Rear steering always makes all the cutouts much larger, so no way around that, really. But I tried to give it a nice shape, you know. And I know it was a big cutout, but I tried to give it a nice shape, and at least we can save a little cutout in the front with plenty of clearance. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're addicted to RC like I am, you should subscribe to my channel, because there's going to be plenty more of it. My kids are getting into it, even my wife's getting into it. We might be an RC family. Who knows?